That's out of focus, guys. Sunday feels. Actually, that's probably Monday feels. Look at this teeth situation. Yo, yo, yo. Hi. So, I thought I would share an idea I've had. People do 21 things before they're 21 or 21. How nice. 30 things before they're 30, and they put things like jumping off a building or diving with sharks or learning Arabic. You know, they'll try an oyster or whatever it is. I've decided that I want to do 35 countries before I'm 35, just to jump on the bandwagon. And I started to count, as you do, the countries. And I didn't do this in advance of the post. I actually did this inspired by somebody I met last December. I went on a work trip to New Zealand, to the University of Otago. I feel like this isn't focused. And I got collected to go to the airport by this little minibus. And on the minibus, there was an old man there. And as I do, I got chatting to him and said, you know, where are you going? And he was like, LA. I'm like, wow, he must have been like, I don't know, 80. And I was like, what are you doing in LA? And he said, oh, I'm part of a club. I said, what kind of club? And I thought, what have I let myself in for in terms of an answer? And he said, I'm part of a club where you collect countries. That doesn't seem like an easy thing when I was kind of thinking of it literally, like, I don't know what I thought, but then he was like, yeah, we try and visit as many countries as possible, and then we talk about that, I think. So according to this club, which is called the Traveller's Century Club, founded by a group of people in 1954, and it's one of the most elite clubs you can be part of. To be part of the club, you need to have visited at least 100 countries, and the guy told me that on the official list of countries, there are 325 according to this club, and it's updated regularly. So 325 countries. Google says otherwise, which apparently for everybody else, in terms of the map, like for the purposes of the encyclopedia, there are actually 195 countries. So this club counts things like really things that are disjointed from land. So for example, the Isle of Man in the UK would be classed as a separate country. Actually, they count territories for the purposes of the club. England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Wales, Ireland, obviously. And then, but like interesting things, like they would count Tasmania and Australia as a separate country. They categorise like islands off the coast of a country as separate. So the Balearic Islands are classed as a country, even though they're connected to Spain. It's a cool list though. And this guy had collected 310 countries. I asked him what his most dangerous situation had been, and it was the time that he got arrested in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Is that the country? Let's just Google that. Because they basically wanted to take his money, and he didn't have enough money on him, and they set bail at something ridiculous, so he had to get money wired, and it was very dangerous by the sounds of it. So one of the islands, like off the coast of South America, sort of like Easter Island, it's so small that he just got a boat and touched his feet, hung his feet off the boat to say that he'd been to that island because it was so small. I have been to 28 countries. So I thought it would be fun to reminisce a little bit about those countries and my time traveling the world, and then talk about how I'm planning to collect 35 in the next 18 months. Johnny's just come in with a little coffee. My fave, Bircher muesli. It's like the size of my bloody head. I got the travel bug quite late in life. And I'd basically gone through my teenage years hardly travelling anywhere. I didn't actually go abroad at all until I was around about 12. All of our holidays were unfortunately in a caravan, which sucked and I will never do to my children. Sorry, Mum. Nightmare. But my first family holiday was to Mallorca. Classy bird. So I don't really remember much about it other than I took an allergic reaction to the sun because I'd basically never seen it, having lived in Scotland my entire life, and I had to get an injection in my arse. So that was good bants. But then my mum was so lovely, and obviously I was harping on about not getting to go abroad, and she supported me to go abroad on my own. So I actually went to visit her best friend in Germany and spent a couple of summers there. Bloody loved that. Eat all the sausage and drink all the beer and generally just have a really good time. And then I had a couple of school trips. So my school pals, if you're watching this, you will remember the carnage that we got up to. On one of them, we took a bus to, it wasn't Amsterdam, it was somewhere in the Netherlands, Eindhoven. Why would you go to Eindhoven over Amsterdam? Maybe it's safer. Then the second trip that we did was to Italy. And that was so long. Like, I literally, all I remember about that trip is basically being on a bus, and then getting off the bus for what seemed like 5 minutes to walk over the Rialto Bridge and then get back on the bus and then be on a bus. The last thing I did before I left school, when I was, I just turned 17, it was quite wild. Although then you realise just how pervy the teachers were. Gads. Getting distracted by text messages. Hiya, Ellie. I love voice notes, but she's not voice noting today. For my 21st birthday, my mum booked for us to go to Paris, and she paid for everything, and I was so excited. Like, I hadn't really been on a proper holiday like as an adult myself before. Yeah, actually reflecting on how poignant that experience was, it kind of really got me into how amazing it is to go on holiday and to see a new city and see a new way of life and immerse yourself in a culture for just a few days. Oh, it's the best. So we went to Paris. To be honest, it wasn't a great holiday. I should have probably given me an insight into how the relationship was going to go, but it didn't. A few things happened. Well, we went to Disneyland. That was awesome. I was seriously overweight though, so couldn't go on most of the rides. Awkward. My partner actually ended up on the last day deleting all the photos from our camera. So I had one of those shitty digital cameras, like, that didn't really do much except just point and snap. But he deleted them accidentally. All the photos from my 21st birthday, my first holiday, our first holiday as a couple. To say I was devastated, probably an understatement, because we couldn't find anywhere to eat either. Like, my birthday meal was at the bloody Planet Hollywood because we couldn't afford anywhere else, even though Planet Hollywood is probably the most expensive out of them all. Oh dear. I did not make good life choices circa 2004, but it did ignite our love of travel despite the disasters. That then spurred us on to try and have some better weekend breaks, and we went to a whole heap of places after that. Even in my last year of study, we decided to do some weekends away, and it was in the golden days of when Ryanair were actually cheap. Like, they didn't charge for you to go to the toilet on their plane, for example. So we went to Belgium. We went to Brussels for Christmas and the Christmas markets, and that was a phenomenal holiday actually. We drank so much beer, Belgian beer, and we played chess in this old man's pub every night, and that's where I learned to play chess. And we ate waffles with hot chocolate sauce and cream, and we walked about and we saw the mannequin piss, which is quite cute, and we just had a great time. So then we did other weekend getaways. We went to Oslo, we went to Krakow, Budapest, Prague, and we even went to Iceland, which was really awesome. Such a cool place. If you've not been, highly recommend it. And those were the kind of sort of weekend breaks that we would do, sort of 3 or 4 days, just exploring a city really. This is not in chronological order, by the way, because I can't really remember it all, and I'm not trawling back my old Facebook profile, which is really the only way to tell how you've done things and when you've done them, let's be honest. We got jobs after we left uni, and they were pretty crap jobs really, like nothing setting the world on fire. So after a year we decided to take a career break. We were so tired of working after 1 year, and went around the world. So on that tour we booked through STA Travel. Absolutely loved that holiday, that trip. 14 weeks, starting in Singapore, going to Australia and doing from Cairns to Brisbane. Then we actually flew and missed out really good bits, to Sydney, and then we did New Zealand, and we did the north and the south for a month. Flew to Fiji and did I think 10 days, and then flew to America and did a little tour of the west coast. There were some ups and downs, let me tell you. So I turned 24 in the first couple of weeks of leaving. I think it was the first week of leaving. It was my birthday, and I was in Singapore, and we actually met up with some Scottish friends. We went out and bought a bottle of whiskey for a ridiculous amount of money, like at the time, and we drank a bottle of whiskey, and the next day we were due to go to the Singapore Zoo. So we were staying in a hostel that had no windows. So I woke up at I didn't know what time, looked at my clock, and it was 2 in the afternoon, and we were due to go to the zoo. We'd paid like loads of money, £100 or something, to go to the zoo and then do a night safari. So we had a shower. Singapore is so humid and hot. We ran out of our room. I was so hanging, and I don't do well when traveling anyway, like on public transport or any transport. We jumped on the tube. We then had to get a train, and then our final leg of the journey was just a measly 2 miles on a bus. We're on the bus, we see the sign, Singapore Zoo, 1 mile ahead, and I'd survived the hour's journey to get there, and I turned to my partner and said, oh my god, I'm gonna be sick. And he literally, bless him, threw his hands up to my mouth to catch my sick, that is love at the time. But it didn't really do much. In fact, it made it worse. So it all sprayed out of his hands and onto the person in front of me. Not my finest moment. So we couldn't do anything about it. We just legged it off the bus when it stopped at the zoo, and there was a tropical downpour was happening, and we just stood there in the rain, like with the sick all over us both and pouring off. That was a fun moment. Other things that happened on that trip include being bit bitten on the big toe by a possum on Magnetic Island. Also a gecko pooked on me in the same trip. And in Fiji, I fell overboard out of a boat. I had such a bad injury that I nearly had to be taken back on land to go to hospital because I like cut my leg open. Disaster. So yeah, not my finest hour. But in New Zealand, we had a ball. The Kiwi experience, if you are below the age of 25, maybe 22, unless you're really immature, which we were, then get yourself on the Kiwi experience. It was the best part of the trip. New Zealand blew my mind. It's like an amalgamation of all of the best bits of the world. So like if you think Scotland, Ovs, Canada, and then some really beautiful parts of the Caribbean, like for the North Island, and it's just perfection. And my friends who do live there are very lucky. So we also did the States, and that was awesome. Probably a particular highlight was staying in a motel behind Hooters in Las Vegas. But actually, funnily enough, we did a tour, Kentucky tour on that holiday, and there were loads of Australians on the bus and they drove us mental. Now, 10 years on, it's quite ironic that I'm now living in Australia because I swore I did not like the Australian part of that world tour. I did not like Australians. Yeah, Queensland wasn't my favourite place, wasn't inspiring as an area. And I just found it really racist, to be honest. Everybody I came across just had no tolerance of anyone from another culture. So yeah, not my bag. But now, look where I am. Hypocrite. Really, that got us into doing even more travel, and we did a lot of those other European countries in the process. And then I had a few girly holidays. So I went to Greece with my pals. We went to Rhodes. I also went to Madrid, and I'd not been to Spain before, like mainland Spain. So that was a fun trip. Really loved it. Really loved the food and the nightlife. Paris, and I also went to Gdansk in Poland. But I'd already been to Poland. I'd been to Krakow, however you say it. Yeah, those were really fun wee girly holidays. I kind of wish I'd done more, and I really would say if you're in a position to do that, go away with your friends, plan a holiday, like just do it. Money is always a problem, but we always find it for things like, you know, Skinny Bloody Flat White or the latest blusher from Benefit. Like, if we can do that, then we can certainly put away, you know, 50 quid a month for a year to book a wee girly weekend. So I would definitely have done more of those had I not buggered off to the other side of the world. But I'm hoping my new pals will join me on some escapades in the fullness of time, because I just think it gives you a different kind of holiday and experience, and you kind of really get that quality time with your friends in the process, which you just don't get like catching up over a coffee or going to the cinema. So I've been really lucky as well to have gone to some places with work, and most of which I've managed to tie in a bit of a holiday. I went to Australia with work around four times, and obviously New Zealand as well. And I also went to Cyprus a couple of years ago. That was quite fun, and it was like really weird being at a conference when it's really hot. So I was kind of like doing my prep for my presentation while sat in the pool. I went to Copenhagen with work. Didn't like it. People love it, and I didn't. So make of that what you will. Bit of a weirdo. Dublin, which is okay. Like, I haven't been for fun, so I haven't done the Guinness factory, but I did go with work. And then we also went to Hong Kong last year on our way back from Australia. So My boyfriend now, he came with me for that trip, and we did things like going up to see the world's biggest bronze Buddha statue, and we went to Hong Kong Disneyland, which was probably the best bit of the trip, to be fair. That is my 20 countries. Now, I am allowed to count England and Scotland. So I haven't done Wales or Northern Ireland, which is a little bit silly, and it would have bumped me up to 30, and I would have done the 30 before 30 probably, but that's me up to 28. So I want to do 35 before I'm 35, and I'm 35 in like 20 months. So 7 countries in 20 months is not going to be easy. However, there are workarounds. I'm going to Vietnam, all being well, with work, or I'm booked to go. I always like say things, I'm going to do this, and then something happens and it doesn't end up transpiring. So I'm going to Vietnam in November for a conference. This is the beauty about living this side of the world. The conferences tend to be in pretty exotic places. And then we've also booked to go to Bali, which is in Indonesia. So that's 2 new countries that would take me up to 30. We also very much want to go to Tasmania in Australia, which is in Australia, right? But I'm going by the Traveller's Century Club list. It's Johnny's 30th next March, so we should really do something special for that. Oh, this is a good coffee company in Adelaide. And then that only takes us up to 31, which leaves 4 countries and only a year to do it. So I have a game plan. So we've kind of done all of the big countries around this side. Like, we obviously haven't done Southeast Asia, and we haven't done Japan. So we have a few, we can, like, there are loads of places still in Asia, but I'm not really into Asia. It's just, it's too humid and busy and polluted and just not what I enjoy. Like, I love the food, and we do eat a lot of Asian food here because there's a huge Asian population, which is fantastic. I would just rather go other places. So what I think we're gonna do, and next year we need to come home, like see our fam and friends. So I think what I'm gonna suggest we do is go on a cruise. There are only a handful of places that I am desperados to see in Europe that are left that I haven't done. Some of them you wouldn't go on a cruise to, like Vienna, but some of them you would. So we really want to go to Croatia. Both of us want to go there. And the other place that I really want to go to is Santorini. So there are 2 new places, and they're counted separately on as far as the list goes. That would give us 2 more, which leave only 2. And like, I've looked at a couple of cruises that have Montenegro as one of the stops, and then we just have one other. Oh, somewhere I'm dying to go to. It's like my number 1 is Hawaii. So I don't think I'll get to go there in the next 20 months along with everything else. Although I want to go to and see lots more of Italy because it just looks stunning. Yeah, that's the plan. That's the game plan. So can I do it? 35 countries before I'm 35. How many countries have you been to? Get a piece of paper, write your list. This is my list here. It's quite a fun exercise to do. Cool. Okay, so that was my 35 before I'm 35 in terms of countries. Think about where you might want to go next if you are into traveling. Maybe we will win the lottery even though we don't play. Right, see you later. Bye. Hi gorgeous. I'm just filming my YouTube video. My pal Ellie. She is also a Taurus. Oh, that's why we're both stubborn little